Hello and welcome to the Championship 2020-2021 predictions from the Honest Podcast. I'm Craig Savage and with me as always is Charlie Betts and Daniel Cody. It's the hardest yet best league in the world and somehow we are going to predict who's going to be promoted in the playoffs and relegation. If you haven't seen our previous videos of League 1 and League 2 predictions, what do you think? Go and check that out in the eye above. The rules is pretty simple. We have a point system. It's 3 points if you guess team in the correct position. For example, if I said Luton Town to finish first and they do finish first, that's 3 points. It's 1 point if you predict the team to be in the right area. For example, if I say Luton Town to finish second and yet they finish first, that's 1 point. And it's minus 1 point if you get it completely wrong. If your team is promoted, that actually ends up in the relegation zone. And we're going to start off with Charlie Betts' predictions on the championship. So, Charlie, who you got to win the championship?
Can I just say, you've done this so that it doesn't look like I've copied anyone halfway through the episode, haven't you? So, no. Do you know what? All joking aside, it was such a tough one. There's some obvious shouts here, and then there's maybe a couple of curveballs. So, to win the league, and I know that they were woeful last year, but I've actually gone for Norwich City. And the reason I say that is they've signed Jordan Hugill, who, didn't get a run at West Ham for whatever reason. Why West Ham signed him in the first place, I'm unsure. However, he had a good record at QPR. He had a brilliant record at Preston before that. He's a very good striker. I think if they can hold on to, we'll probably go and say this so many times in this episode, but obviously before the transfer window's even closed and even close to closing, we're trying to make predictions. So if it stays as it is, I think Norwich have got more than a good enough squad to win that league with the addition of Jordan Hugill and obviously, Timo Pukki, those two up front. You'd like to form a good partnership. As it stands, I would go for Norwich. So they're the ones to win the league for me. In second place, now, you're probably slightly surprised with this, but I've gone for Nottingham Forest. Now, I know they had a massive wobble last year. Just go with me for a minute. However, if you look at some of their signings in transfer, obviously, signed Lyle Taylor. I know that you think about him and his personality, but as a goal scorer, very, very good. Jack Colback, a bit of experience in the Premier League. They've got Tyler Blackett as well, Luke Freeman. They have made some positive moves. They've obviously lost Matty Cash, I'm aware of that, but obviously, replacing it with 4 players, I don't know. Joe Lolly, again, I always talk about how good he is, and I think he's a match winner for them if they can keep him fit. I just think that last year, bit of pressure and like that built on them. I think people aren't really giving them as much of a shout, and they have got a good squad. We saw them live. However, I'm sure that'll be counted in a minute by you two lads. So I'll go for Forest as second place.
Who have you got for the playoffs?
So this is where it went a little bit funny then after this. So I know you two won't like it, and I know that, again, to be honest, they're a poxy club in the way that they were doing things last year. I've gone for Watford. Now, the reason I say that, obviously, Glenn Murray, whatever you think about his age, he's a very, very good striker, and particularly in the Championship. Yeah. I can see that it's suited to him. It's physical. It's that balls bounce around the box. He's a great finisher. So for me, I think he is then generally the match winner for them. Obviously, though, we do know that Watford have the ability to just implode instantly. So it depends what happens in this transfer window. They obviously signed that Ngakia as well from West Ham. Young lad, good, decent fullback. So I think they are very Jekyll and Hyde. They could end up either finishing third or, 18th. You just don't know Watford. Genuinely, they're just that kind of club, aren't they? So I've gone for them for third. Fourth, I know that they bottled it last year, but I've gone for Brentford. The addition of Ivan Toney, again, I think, he's obviously a proven goal scorer. It does depend, though, how many of the vultures keep circling around Brentford, because you talk about Ben Rama going, people like that. I don't know. I still think, even if they lose some of those players, I still think they've got enough there. They've got a decent back line. They've got a good goalkeeper, albeit I know in the Championship final, we obviously had a bit of a howler. But across the season, I think they've been fairly good defensively, and they've got that bit of quality going forward, if they can keep hold of it.
New stadium as well.
New stadium as well, yeah, of course, yeah, and all that to play with. So the next one, and I know they made me look stupid 2 years running now, but I genuinely believe it this time, is Stoke City. And I think Michael O'Neill this time, with a full pre-season, they've obviously signed Stephen Fletcher, James Chester, and this is the big one for me, John Obi Mikel, who I just think you've got that quality. I know you hate him, Craig. I know you hate him. But I'm going to just like you for a second. It's just a very quick side note. When West Ham went down to the Championship, we signed Ahmed Dafai. I don't remember him.
Yeah. The old Bolton one.
That's it, yeah. It was past it, but his experience, the way he marshalled that team was unbelievable. He wasn't great on the ball. He was just a bit of a unit, but you could just see him throughout the squad. So for me, he is a massive game changer for them. So I'm going to go for John O'Mikel to push them up. Michael O'Neill gets the best out of average players, and I think he's got an average squad this year. He got rid of a lot of that deadwood. And then this is where the last one got really difficult for 6th place, because you talk about Neil Warnock and Middlesbrough, and they've got some quality in their side. However, they were woeful at times, even under him towards the end of last season. They haven't done much in the way of the transfer market, but again, that's obviously open to interpretation. I'm just going to play safe on this, and I've bottled it a bit, and I've gone for Swansea City just because they were there or thereabouts last year. They haven't really lost anyone, but they haven't really added anyone either. So I'm just hoping for a bit of consistency, might keep them in and around the playoffs. As a winner, this is where it gets tough now. My heart is telling me Stoke. I genuinely think Stoke have got enough to go up. I think Brentford might bottle it. I don't want Watford to go up, to be honest, but I think they might have enough quality. So I think it'll probably be Watford Stoke final, and I'm going to go for. I think I might have to go for Watford to go back up, and I don't really like saying that. So yeah, that's my playoffs.
So you don't really want Watford to go up, but you're going for Watford to go up.
Well, I just think
He doesn't want them to, but he thinks they will. What's hard about that?
I think Glenn Murray he'll get so many goals from this year. He's going to be so good for him if he stays fit.
Right, who's going down?
This I've got two teams I think are okay, and then after that I'm not sure. So bottom I've gone for Rotherham in 24th place. I've gone for Rotherham.
Wow.
I just don't think they've really signed anyone. You know, you're talking about lads like Jamal Blackman, people like that. You know, decent players, but I just don't think they're going to have enough. You know, we always talk about some of these big clubs with fans coming back. How easy is that going to be for Rotherham? I don't think they'll have enough, and I think they've been like that for years, haven't they? Up and down, up and down. 23rd place, I've gone for Barnsley, and the reason is, yeah, I know you're looking confused, Greg, but they were so lucky, as we mentioned lots of times last year. They were so lucky to stay up. In terms of transfers, they've signed some fella from Lask, and that's literally about it, really. There's not much going on there. They were struggling last year and got out on a technicality. I just can't see them enough.
Are you sure you haven't seen my notes?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. And then I'll be honest, 22nd, I've got a choice of 3 here. So there's Sheffield Wednesday, and I look at it and they sign people like Joss Windass. They've got a couple like Izzy Brown, people like that. So they have got some players coming in despite the deduction. And I just looked at the beginning of last season's championship. You could easily make up of 12 points. I know Luton and Barnsley would have had a good run at the end of the season, but the first half of the season, let's be honest, that bottom of the table was well adrift. And I do think you can make up 12 points quite quickly. So I just think they might have enough. So then it was Birmingham City for me or Wycombe Wanderers. And I'm just not sure. Birmingham have done a little bit more. They've obviously signed your friend Jonathan Lecco, Dan, from our Football Manager save. I don't want Wycombe to go down, but I just don't think they've done really anything. They haven't got the budget. They haven't got the infrastructure to keep up with everyone.
You're not going to make this mistake again, are you? You're not going to do it twice in a row.
No, I just don't think they've got any. You're talking about the Championship, and as we said, the best league in the world. And I just look at their squad. They did well to get out of League One, as much as it was points per game, and we're not going into that. I just don't think, and because they haven't added anyone of any quality, I just can't see them staying up. So unfortunately, romantically, I'm going to put Wycombe in 22nd, although there's a good chance they could probably finish bottom. So there you go.
Very interesting. Those are Charlie Betts' predictions. Moving on to Daniel Cody's, probably the same. Who you got to win the championship?
Our top 6 is remarkably similar, but in a different order. And he did throw in 2 of the teams that I thought he would, so I'm delighted about that. Top of the league, for the same reason that Charlie did, but I've gone higher. On paper, there is no denying, even as a Luton fan, on paper, Watford have the best squad. There isn't a denying it. Now, there are so many things that can go wrong. Deciding to sack 3 managers a game every time they lose one. It's deciding to sell on 4 players and not replace them. It could happen. Having an imbalanced squad, because the manager's not often in charge of the transfers there, let's be honest. The Troy Deeney situation's a little bit of a weird one this summer, but obviously, as you mentioned, Glenn Murray's there already. So on paper, Watford should win the championship. I don't think any of us disagree with that. It's just whether it will then happen because of so many things that could go wrong for Watford and have done off the pitch. Because they shouldn't have gone down in the Premier League last year based on their squad. But that's where we are. So Watford to win it based on that. In second place, following Charlie's notes, but I've gone much more bold, Stoke City. Wow. Stoke City to finish second. Michael O'Neill is an excellent manager. They've signed, I mean, you've mentioned a few of them already. Morgan Fox was in there as well. Just good, solid championship defenders. Stephen Fletcher's goals off the bench if you need them. John Obi Mikel is underrated. I'm sorry, Craig. I don't care what you say about this. But John Obi Mikel is going to be the... I've sent him off.
Absolute tosh.
But John Obi Mikel is going to be so key in that holding role, Craig.
He is rubbish.
Well... I'm going to guess that Stoke won't be in your top 6 and you're going to look like an idiot at the end of the year. But there we go. So that's my top 2, Watford and Stoke. Playoffs, I have gone similar pattern for Charlie. I've gone for Norwich because as it stands, they've got a solid squad. They will probably lose 1 or 2. But again, they're going to keep hold of most of their squad. It looks like Jamal Lewis is off. They'll probably lose Aarons on the other side. But otherwise, they looked all right. And even with the youth team, they did okay against Luton. In 4th place, and this is where I've gone boldest, I've gone for Millwall. So they've signed a few players on loan who are really good. I'm sorry, Craig. They were doing brilliantly last year. Gary Rowett's doing a good job there. They've got a good direct style of play. They've got Troy Parrott coming in on loan from Tottenham. They've also signed Scott Malone and Ryan Woods on loan, good championship players. And Mason Bennett has come back who will add a little bit of pace and directness to them. They've only really lost Aidan O'Brien so far from the first team to Sunderland. So for me, they've improved their squad and they were there or thereabouts last year. In 5th, 6th and 7th, I mean, I'm trying to get which one's going to miss out of the three, Craig. Sorry. I've got basically my 3 teams left are Swansea, Cardiff and Forest. Same as last year, essentially. So I'm going for, in 5th place, Cardiff, because as Charlie mentioned, not much has changed. They've signed Kiefer Moore, who's been doing brilliantly for Wales this weekend. I think he's gonna fire them into the playoffs again with the same squads pretty much as last year. And then in 6th, do you know what? I'm going to go for a carbon copy, but the opposite way round. So on the final day of the season, Nottingham Forest are going to pip Swansea to the playoffs. Because just for a little bit of revenge, as Charlie mentioned, they've both got similar squads. I mean, Swansea have added a couple of solid players in, but realistically, it's one or the other. You could flip a coin. So I'm going to go for Nottingham Forest to put right the wrong of last year and sneak in. And then in terms of a winner, I'm going to go for Cardiff City. Kiefer Moore to score the winner in the playoff final. You heard it here first.
Wow, bold.
Kiefer Moore to score the winner in the playoff final. Might happen. All right, who have you got for relegation?
I actually found this bit relatively easy. There's a lot of teams who I think will underperform this year, but I think there's 3 who are going to be much lower. So we've got to bear in mind Sheffield Wednesday's 12 points, but if there hadn't have been for the 12 points, I probably would have had them as a playoff tip. They've signed really well so far. And if they can keep Izzy Brown fit, in addition to the other 3 or 4 as well, they've signed a couple from Wigan, Windass and Dunkley. They've been picking up good players for the squad. So I think they'll stay up comfortably. As a result, bottom of the league, I've gone for Barnsley. And I know Craig pulled the face for 23rd, but let's have a look. Have a look in simple terms, Craig. If it wasn't for Wigan's points deduction and Hull and Charlton being in disarray from January, they'd be down.
I know. So they're both fine.
Absolutely, but Barnsley were worse. So let's just put that out there. Barnsley have had a less productive summer window so far. I know that could change. And as a result, I can't see past them for being bottom. And I think it will be by a little distance as well. Though I hope I'm wrong, because Luton and Barnsley have had a good battle and come up together. In 23rd place, the only one of the promoted sides I've gone to go back down. And surprisingly, it's Coventry, who absolutely romped the Championship last year in terms of performances. I watched one of their last games before lockdown. They were brilliant. However, goals are crucial at Championship level. And they were the 9th top scorers in the League One last year. And they relied on a really solid defence. And even the game I watched against Sunderland, they battered them and only nicked it 1-0. And without the addition of strikers, they let Tyler Walker go, which I found really bizarre. He's gone down to League One now. Unfortunately, I can't see them getting enough goals. So I've gone for them to go down out of the 3 promoted sides.
Only alone.
I know, but they could have got him back and he's gone down to League One now. It seems strange to me. I really thought he would have been staying there. But either way, they're going down in 23rd for me. I think both Wickham and Rotherham will be fine. They're well-coached sides. And in 22nd, I've gone controversially for Huddersfield. So the reason I've gone for that, obviously there was the big drama at the end of last season. They let Danny Cowley go and his brother, obviously. They are going to be involved in a Championship merry-go-round when a manager gets sacked. And they will poach all of their favourites in January from Huddersfield. They've got a coach who's never been a manager before, which can go either way. So I'm banking on it going possibly negatively. And they've lost quite a few players already. Smith Rowe was crucial on loan last season from Arsenal. They also had the likes of Kachunga and Simpson that have both left the club. I'm not convinced that they're going to be all right this year. Again, they're a club that should be able to, with the parachute money, invest before the end of the window. And they have got a couple in already, but I'm not convinced, based on the work so far, that they're going to be all right. But I am judging that 5 weeks before the window shuts.
So now it's my turn, and no doubt that I'm probably wrong, but it's pretty much the same as the other. So I've gone for Norwich to win the Championship. I said Pukki's still there, Aaron's still there, Tim Krul's still there, Cantwell's still there. But if they get back in form, I can see them challenging again. And yesterday's defeat to Luton in the League Cup is the 12th straight loss from Norwich, and it's a new record for them, which is surprising. But considering how they ended the Premier League, well, when they got back to restart it, they just haven't even got going. But if we keep those sort of players, also the Gels there, Hugo now in, I can see them challenging. I think they can win the Championship.
Yep.
However, second place, I've gone for Brentford. I've backed them. I said Ivan Toney's good. Obviously, Ben Rama's still there. Watkins is still there. New stadium as well. I think that always plays an effect. I hope they do the same for AFC Wimbledon. But yeah, I think they'll learn from the lessons from last season, and I think they can push on if Ben Rama and Watkins stay at the club. My teams for the playoffs. So third place have gone for Nottingham Forest. I think they'll learn a lesson. They've got obviously not making the playoffs at all. Matty Cash is not there anymore, but they've got Ryle Taylor, as you said. Lewis Graven's still there. Joe Lolly is still there. So they've got a good team there. They just need to make it click at the right time. There's times where they should have pushed on and got to the higher up in the table, and they never did, and they blew it in the last day of the season. Fourth place, I've gone for Watford. I think this could be, as Charlie alluded to earlier, it could be the best thing for them or the worst thing. I generally don't think their manager will stay. This is Watford, by the way. They had 4 managers last season, and they got relegated. They said most of the squad's still there, and it might be a different style of football to what they did play. It'd be an unpredictable season, so I could see them in the playoffs. Fifth place, I've gone for Cardiff. I just think they look solid. I really do.
They're good shout.
Yeah, they're just solid all season. Once Neil Harris took over, and so Keeper Moore's now there, so a bit more even more direct. He's a big man. I could see him being fine in the playoffs. Sixth place, I wasn't too sure because I had Middlesbrough in there, Bristol City in there. So I've actually gone for Swansea. I don't know. It's another obviously a young squad. No Ryan Brewster this season for them, but they've got Morgan Gibbs White and Jamal Lowe. Andre Ayew still there, so there's more experience as well. I can see that once again, I think they'll sneak the playoffs. Who I think will go up will be Nottingham Forest.
Wow.
They're going to break their payoff hoodoo. I think they'll go up by players, I really do. I think they'll be quite convincing in the playoffs. My team for relegation. So I had 9 teams, by the way, to decide who out of the 3 slots. So the teams who are not in it are Luton, QPR, Reading, Coventry, Barnsley, Huddersfield. So they're not in it. Starting off in 22nd place, I have gone for Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going for the -12 to play a part in this because obviously, as we all know, the Championships are unpredictable and they've got to get through 4 games to get over that line. And 4 games is very hard to achieve. You can win, you lose, you win, you lose, you win, you lose, draw. It's very hard to keep a good streak going. As you said, Sheffield Wednesday, Izzy Brown, Winder, Dunkley, but under Gary Monk, it wasn't convincing at all. So I think it might be a bit too much for Sheffield Wednesday this season. 23rd, I have gone for Rotherham. I feel sorry for Rotherham. I really do. It's just a yo-yo club effect, and I didn't think they would have gone up last season. And they said they're not really strengthened all season. We know the transfer window is a long way away, ends a long way away, but yeah, I can see them doing it again. And in 24th place, I have gone for Wycombe Wanderers. As I said, it's the smallest club budget, style of football. I think they need to vary up a little bit for the Championship. You've seen other teams who survive change their football philosophy to survive. And I think if they go stick to their way, I can see it be a long-ass season for them. It'd be good for the fans, obviously, being in the Championship for the first time ever, once they do get back into book stadiums, but I think it'll just be for one season and one season only. So let's quickly wrap up and go through who's gone for what again. So Daniel Cody has gone for Watford to win the Championship, Stoke City 2nd, Norwich City 3rd, Millwall 4th, Cardiff 5th, and Nottingham Forest 6th, with Cardiff winning the playoffs. 22nd place, Huddersfield Town, 23rd, Coventry, and 24th, Barnsley. Myself, I have gone for Norwich City to win, Brentford 2nd, Nottingham Forest 3rd, Watford 4th, Cardiff 5th, and Swansea 6th, with Nottingham Forest winning the playoffs. 22nd place, I've gone for Sheffield Wednesday, 23rd, Rotherham, and 24th, Wycombe. And Charlie has gone for Norwich City to win, Nottingham Forest 2nd, Watford 3rd, Brentford 4th, Stoke 5th, Swansea 6th, with Watford winning the playoffs. And 22nd place, Wycombe, 23rd, Barnsley, and Rotherham 24. We will be doing weekly Championship predictions, which will come out on Wednesday for the first fixture of the season, which is Watford versus Middlesbrough. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter @HonestFootball3, and we'll see you next time.